Part 1. The Closet Door, a Gateway to Hell. The house at the end of Willow Creek Lane had stood empty for years. No one in the town of Ravenshade dared to approach it, not since the Parker family vanished without a trace one stormy night. Some claimed they heard screams, others swore they saw red light flickering through the windows. But no one investigated. No one called the police. The house was left to rot, whispered about but untouched. Until now. Ethan adjusted the strap on his backpack and looked up at the towering silhouette before him. "This is it," he said, glancing back at his friends. "The Parker house." Liam grinned, excitement lighting his eyes. "Damn right it is. Are we ready to make history or what?" "Or get possessed," Chloe muttered, arms crossed. "Don't start," Ava said, nudging her lightly. "We agreed. One night and we're done." Noah, the quietest of the group, snapped a photo of the front door with his vintage camera. "Looks like it's already dying to welcome us in." They stepped onto the porch. Every board creaked under their feet like it hadn't been touched in decades. Liam pushed the door, and it swung open with an eerie groan. Inside, the air was thick and cold, reeking of mildew and something else, something metallic like rust or blood. Cobwebs hung from the ceiling, and dust coated everything in a thick layer of time. The group moved through the living room cautiously, their flashlights sweeping across torn furniture and rotting wallpaper. They found a kitchen with cracked tiles and a dining room where plates still sat on the table as if a meal had been interrupted. Then they found the closet. It was at the end of a narrow hallway, partially hidden behind a torn curtain. The door was old, wooden, and painted black, though most of the paint had chipped away to reveal dark splinters underneath. Carved into the wood were strange symbols, circles, triangles, and crude figures that twisted in impossible ways. It didn't look like a normal closet. "Guys," Ethan whispered, "look at this." Ava stepped closer. "What the hell is this?" Chloe shined her flashlight on the carvings. "It looks ancient, like way older than the house itself." Liam reached out to touch the symbols. "Don't," Ethan said sharply. "Just don't." But Liam ignored him, his fingers brushing over the wood. The closet door trembled beneath his hand. The group fell silent. Then the whispers started. At first they were barely audible, like the wind, but then they grew louder, more insistent. They came from inside the closet. "Do you hear that?" Noah asked, stepping back. Ethan nodded slowly. "Yeah, I don't like it." "It's probably just air moving through the house," Liam said, though he didn't sound convinced. Ava's eyes narrowed. Air doesn't speak Latin. They argued over whether to open the door or leave it alone. Chloe wanted to leave immediately. Ava agreed. But Liam was obsessed. He believed they'd found something extraordinary, something beyond normal explanation. "No one's been here in years," Liam said. "This might be a portal or a cult site. Think about the views we'll get if we capture this. A real haunted closet? Our channel will blow up." "It's not worth it," Ethan warned. "Some doors shouldn't be opened. But curiosity is a powerful thing, and fear even more so." At 2:07 a.m., Liam opened the closet. It didn't creak. It didn't resist. It simply slid open, as if it had been waiting. Inside, there were no shelves, no coats, no wall, just blackness. A swirling void that seemed to move like smoke and pulse like a heartbeat. Everyone froze. "What the fuck?" whispered Chloe. Noah raised his camera to take a photo, but the moment the flash went off, the darkness inside the closet lunged outward like a wave. The flashlight beams flickered, the temperature dropped, and then the floor beneath them cracked open. They screamed as they fell, not into the basement, not into earth, but into something else entirely. Ethan woke first. He sat up with a groan, his head pounding, mouth dry. He was lying on stone, not wood. The air was heavy and hot, filled with a sulfuric stench that made his eyes burn. He looked around. The walls were black, slick, and pulsing faintly, alive somehow. A soft moan caught his attention. "Liam?" he called. Liam sat nearby, dazed. "What? Where the hell are we?" "No idea," Ethan muttered, standing. "But it's not the house." One by one, the others stirred. Ava had a deep gash on her arm. Chloe's lip was bleeding. Noah looked pale, already filming shakily with his camera. "This isn't real," Chloe said, spinning. "This isn't real." They stood in a circular room with no visible doors, only archways of red stone leading in different directions. Etched into the walls were the same symbols from the closet. The air throbbed like a heartbeat. "We fell through the closet," Noah said. "It's a portal. Has to be." "To where?" Ava snapped. Hell? No one laughed. They picked a path. As they walked, the world grew stranger. Buildings made of bone, rivers of black liquid, and skies that blinked like eyes followed them at every turn. Sometimes they heard whispers, sometimes screams. No matter where they went, the closet door didn't reappear. At one point they passed a mirror nailed to a tree. It reflected their faces, but twisted, grinning, bleeding, whispering secrets they hadn't spoken aloud. Chloe was the first to break. She wandered off during a rest, claiming she heard her sister calling her. The others searched for hours, but only found her phone lying on a patch of red grass, cracked and wet with something sticky. She's dead, Ava whispered. She's gone. Ethan clenched his fists. No, we'll find her. But deep down he knew. Time moved differently. They couldn't tell how long they'd been wandering. Their phones stopped working. Their water ran out. Hunger gnawed at them, but nothing here was edible. Every time they found something that looked like food, berries, meat, even water, it would rot the moment they touched it. Lamb began muttering to himself, scribbling the closet symbols into the dirt. Ava grew paranoid, sleeping with a shard of mirror tied to her wrist. Noah stopped speaking altogether, filming everything like he was documenting their descent into madness. Then came the children. They appeared without warning, faceless, pale figures that giggled and ran just ahead of them. At first, the group thought they were hallucinating. Then one of them touched Noah. He screamed, collapsing, his body twisted, bones cracking, blood pouring from his eyes. When Ethan reached him, he was already dead, his mouth torn into a permanent smile. The children vanished. They left behind a message scrawled in blood on the wall. Only one leaves. Ethan wanted to turn back, but the path behind them no longer existed. The world shifted constantly. Hills moved. Doors vanished. Light bent in unnatural angles. Liam snapped next. He tried to sacrifice Ava, claiming the symbols told him she was the reason they were trapped. He nearly succeeded, had Ethan not tackled him and knocked him unconscious. They tied him up and left him in a circle of salt Ava somehow remembered from an old demonology text. When they returned an hour later, he was gone. Nothing left but his shoes and his voice, echoing from below the ground. Now only Ethan and Ava remained. She cried herself to sleep each night. Ethan stayed awake, knife in hand, watching the shadows crawl across the walls. One night, they saw the closet again. It stood alone at the edge of a cliff made of burning coal, untouched, whole, its door slightly open. Ava screamed with joy. "We made it! We found it!" But Ethan didn't celebrate. He saw the blood trail leading into it, the bones scattered around it, the eyes peeking from behind the door. "It's not an exit," he said. "It's the only way out," Ava replied. Then the whispers returned. Ava froze. "Ethan, it's calling my name." He grabbed her hand. "Don't listen to it." But she was already walking, entranced, smiling. She reached the door and vanished. Ethan stood before the closet alone. He had no food, no water, no friends, only madness and memories. The door was still open, but now the whispers said his name. He didn't move. He just stood, breathing slowly, wondering if the closet led home or to something far worse. The shadows behind the door shifted, forming the shape of a hand. A voice echoed across the burning cliff. "One leaves." Ethan closed his eyes and stepped forward. Part 2. The Blood Rite. One by one they fall. When Ethan stepped through the closet door again, he expected pain, fire, screams, or even death. Instead, there was silence. He opened his eyes and found himself in a chamber of stone, lit by torches that never burned out. The walls were covered in the same symbols, those twisting runes and spirals he'd come to hate. But something had changed. The air wasn't just heavy, it was watching him. The room pulsed like a heart. A pedestal stood at the center, and on it lay a book bound in skin. A single title was burned into the cover in charred letters, The Blood Rite. Ethan approached it cautiously. When his fingers brushed the cover, the book opened on its own. The pages turned, faster and faster, until they stopped on one written in a language he somehow understood. He read aloud. 5 entered. 4 were taken. 1 may return if the rite is awakened. Blood for freedom. A soul for the door. His hands trembled. "A sacrifice," he whispered. "They want a sacrifice." But everyone was gone. Everyone except him. Or so he thought. He wandered through twisting corridors that shifted every hour. Sometimes the doors behind him vanished. Sometimes they screamed. He stopped trusting anything he saw. He stopped speaking. And then he found Liam. But it wasn't the same Liam. His skin was pale, stretched too tight across his face. His mouth was stitched shut. His eyes were black, oozing something that looked like ink. He crouched on all fours like an animal, clawing at the walls with bloodied nails. Ethan froze. Liam? Liam twitched, then turned his head slowly. A sound escaped his throat, a wet, choked growl. Then he charged. Ethan barely dodged. They fought in a narrow tunnel, Liam hissing, biting, snarling like a beast. Ethan cried out as Liam sank his teeth into his shoulder, tearing flesh. In a desperate move, Ethan grabbed a sharp rock and smashed it into Liam's temple. Once, twice, 3 times, until Liam stopped moving. The echo of the blows rang through the tunnel. Ethan collapsed beside the body, sobbing, blood dripping from his shoulder and hands. Then the walls lit up. The symbols burned red, glowing like fire. The book reappeared on the pedestal beside him, now turned to a new page. The first blood has been spilled. The rite begins. He wandered for what felt like days. His wound grew worse. Fever set in. He hallucinated voices, Chloe's laugh, Ava's cries, Noah's silent stare. He came across a room filled with mirrors, each reflecting a different moment in their past. One showed them in high school, laughing. Another showed Chloe's disappearance. Another showed Ava crying as she reached for the closet. He couldn't look away until one of the mirrors spoke. Ethan, it whispered. He turned and saw Ava in the glass, alive. Or was it just her reflection? Ava, he breathed. I made it through, she said. There's a way out, but you have to finish the rite. You have to finish what was started. Ethan stepped forward. Where are you? Trapped, in the in-between. You can free me. You can free all of us. But you must spill the blood of the damned. What does that mean? Find the lost, offer them, and the door will open. The mirror shattered. Ethan stumbled back, shards cutting his arms, but the message was clear. The rite wasn't just about survival, it was about cleansing. He found Noah next, in a chamber filled with film reels, camera flashes, and torn photographs. Noah sat in the center, silent, rocking slowly. His eyes were gone, replaced by lenses. His arms were spooled in film tape. But he wasn't hostile. Ethan, he whispered, I've seen it all. Every timeline, every death. Ethan knelt beside him. What is this place? A mirror, Noah said, of guilt, of memory. This world feeds on what we bury. And none of us came clean. Ethan swallowed. Can I save you? Noah nodded slowly. Yes, but not how you think. You must give the place what it wants. My guilt, my blood, my sin. Ethan's heart twisted. I can't kill you. You won't have to. Noah handed him a dagger made of bone. But you will need this. There's more ahead, worse. Noah placed the blade at his own throat. Don't! But it was too late. With one quick motion, Noah ended it. The walls screamed. The book appeared again. The second blood has been given. The rite continues. Ethan screamed into the void. He walked until his feet bled. The terrain grew darker, more warped. Trees made of teeth, skies that pulsed red, rivers that whispered his name. And then he saw Chloe, or what was left of her. She was suspended in a cage of glass above a pit of writhing shadows. Her eyes were sewn shut, but she whispered constantly, Ethan, Ethan, Ethan. He climbed the jagged tower to reach her. Chloe, it's me, he said softly. She didn't react. Chloe, I'm here to save you. Her mouth twitched. You left me. I didn't. You let me go. You watched me vanish. Ethan's heart broke. I tried. I looked everywhere. Please, let me help. The cage creaked. The shadows below hissed. A voice echoed from the pit. Let her go, or stay with her. One must feed the dark. Ethan looked down. The dagger was at his side. He looked at Chloe. I'm sorry. He sliced the rope holding the cage. It fell into the pit. The shadows howled. The book appeared at his feet. The third blood completes the path. One soul remains. One truth must be revealed. Ethan collapsed in a chamber of bones. He had lost everyone. But something else stirred now. The closet door appeared once again, flickering in the distance, shrouded in mist and flame. And beside it stood Ava, alive, whole but different. Her eyes were black, her skin too perfect. Ava? Ethan said, staggering forward. You made it. I did, she smiled. He ran to hug her, but she did not move. You did what was needed, she said. You performed the rite. Then we can leave? Ethan asked. Together? She tilted her head. No, only one leaves. What? You knew this. You read the book. I didn't know it meant your blood or mine, she said. One final offering. The door demands it. He stared at her. Ava stepped aside, revealing the altar behind her. The book lay open on the final page. The last blood shall bind the door. The one who bleeds shall not return. Ava picked up the bone dagger. Make your choice, she said. Ethan's heart raced. He thought of their memories, their childhood, the laughter, the pain. She was all he had left. Then she whispered, "You were always the one who survived, Ethan. Even when we were kids, you let others fall around you. It's your nature." "That's not true. Prove it." She tossed the dagger to his feet. He picked it up slowly, looked at her, and turned it on himself. Ava screamed. No, too late. The blade pierced his side. Blood poured onto the altar. The closet door burst open. Light, blinding, white, real, spilled into the chamber. Ava sobbed, catching him before he fell. "Why?" "Because I had to prove I wasn't what this place wanted me to be." He smiled weakly. "Get out. Live." Ava emerged from the closet, back in the Parker house. The sun was rising. The others were gone. All gone. She collapsed onto the porch, shaking, crying. Behind her, the closet door slammed shut, never to open again. Or so she thought. Part 3, The Final Escape, or A New Curse begins. Claire's bare feet moved through the dewy grass. No blood, no shadows, just wind, sky, and silence. Behind her, the Parker house stood like a corpse, rotting and forgotten, its secrets buried again. Ethan was gone. He had made the ultimate sacrifice, and now somehow she was free. But as Claire sat on the edge of the porch, arms around her knees, she couldn't shake the feeling that something followed her. A cold breath down her spine, a whisper that never quite formed words. She looked back once more at the old closet, still closed, still quiet, but not empty. 3 weeks passed. Claire told no one the truth. Who would believe her? The official story was a tragic accident. 4 young adults went missing. Their friend, Claire Mitchell, was found wandering on the property in shock. She was hospitalized, released, and sent to stay with her aunt in a quiet part of town. She was expected to recover, but Claire didn't recover. She dreamed of the closet every night, of Ethan screaming, of blood-soaked pages, of the whisper that came just before she woke. "You are not done." At first she tried to ignore it. Then the objects began appearing. It started with a photograph. She found it under her bed, though she didn't remember ever owning it. A black and white picture of the 5 of them standing in front of the Parker house, but the faces were scratched out, all except hers. Then came the music box. It played a tune none of them had ever heard before, but somehow she knew it by heart. Then the bone dagger, the one Ethan had used in the rite, appeared in her bathroom mirror, its reflection staring back at her, though it wasn't really there. Every time she blinked, it seemed closer. Claire returned to the Parker house on the 31st day, not by choice. She woke up at 2:07 a.m. in the middle of the forest, barefoot, in a white dress she didn't own. Her hands were covered in dirt, and before her stood the house. But it was different now, alive. The porch was pristine. The windows glowed with a sickly red light. The door creaked open on its own, and the closet, it was open too. She walked in. Inside the Parker house, everything was restored to how it had once been. Photographs hung on clean walls. Candles burned softly. A table was set for 5. Her friends' seats were empty, but filled with shadows. Claire moved to the closet. The door was wide open. Inside, a stairway descending into darkness. Not swirling mist, not a portal, just stairs. She gritted her teeth, took a candle from the wall, and stepped down. The door closed behind her. The descent was long, hundreds of steps carved into black stone. On the walls were etchings, scenes of her life, moments of guilt, moments of cruelty, moments she'd buried. When she reached the bottom, she emerged into a massive chamber that pulsed with red veins and ancient power. In the center stood a figure. It wore Ethan's face, but it wasn't Ethan. "Claire," it said softly, "you've come home." She stepped back. "You're not him." "I was, before the rite, before the choice." "What are you now? A part of the door, a guardian, a piece of the curse." She raised the candle like a weapon. "I came to end this. You can't end what's inside you." And that's when the truth clicked. The blood rite hadn't ended with Ethan. It had passed to her, because the rite wasn't just about escape. It was a seed, a curse reborn in the one who left. Claire screamed, hurling the candle into the figure. It didn't burn. It laughed. "You don't kill the curse," it whispered. "You carry it. You feed it. The chamber walls began to shake. Hands reached from the floor. Bones rose into towering forms. Liam, Chloe, Noah, and Ethan, stitched together with red thread and black fire. "You let us die," their voices echoed. "No," she shouted. I tried to save you." "You survived," they whispered. "That was the only sin." Claire turned and ran. The stairway twisted behind her. Now it went up. Now it spiraled sideways. Now it bled. She fell, crawled, screamed, and then light. She burst out of the closet, coughing, weeping, blood on her hands, the Parker house burning around her. She didn't know how. She didn't know why. But she had made it out again. Months passed. Claire moved across the country, changed her name, tried to start over. But the closet followed her, in reflections, in dreams, in random hotel rooms, in the voices of children who stopped to stare at her and said, "Have you opened it yet?" One morning, she found a note on her pillow. "One must replace you. The door must feed." And underneath it, the dagger. She threw it away. It returned the next day, lying neatly on her kitchen counter. Claire stopped sleeping. Eventually she snapped. In the middle of the night, she broke into the university archives, digging through cursed folklore, rites, possessions. She found references to the fivefold door, the offering curse, the red path, and one text that chilled her blood. The Blood Rite is not a prison. It is a chain. One must carry it until another takes their place, willingly or otherwise. Claire laughed, or cried. She couldn't tell anymore. She tried to warn others. No one believed her. Until someone did. A boy named Marcus, obsessed with haunted places. He found her online, told her he wanted to see the door. Claire told him no, begged him to forget. But one day her phone buzzed. A photo. The Parker house, wide open, the closet door glowing red. A second photo. Marcus, standing in front of it, grinning. Her blood ran cold. She returned to Ravenshade one last time. The house was rebuilt, perfect, waiting. Inside, Marcus was gone, but his camera lay on the floor, still recording. The last frame, him walking into the closet, then black, then screaming. Claire knew what to do. She picked up the dagger, approached the closet. Inside it was no longer hell. It was her own bedroom, as if the house had become her, as if the curse had become home. And inside the mirror, Ethan smiled. "Welcome back." Outside, no one noticed the fire. No one saw the Parker house vanish again into mist. But days later, children in the nearby schoolyard began humming a tune no one had taught them. And in one girl's backpack, a photo appeared. 5 faces, 4 scratched out, 1 smiling, Claire, still smiling, still waiting for the next one. The end, or just the beginning?